devastating, and it's devastating in a way. It's another showcase that climate change is intensifying, and we are experiencing more and more intensified and more frequent natural disasters like flooding, which usually now lasting even longer. The duration is longer, and the losses, as reported, actually is already more than $12 billion, and the losses of life, properties. It's just devastating to see what is happening in real life and how vulnerable our society, our economy is in front of natural disasters.
Climate change, you and I have talked about this in the past, and you've talked about the urgency needed to address it. You'd think that this would be a wake-up call, but what do we need to actually get moving on this globally?
Global efforts are already on the way, and not only China, but the developing countries, people are taking actions. We started to see renewable energies, started to see energy efficiency, look at more and more nature-based solutions, and also more attention is now being shifted towards resilience because we are living in a time of climate change challenges, and we have to learn how to adapt, how to become more resilient through infrastructure, through all kinds of measures we could take. This year, actually, the COVID-19 somehow, made a big pause, actually, of human activities there. So this year, the COVID-19, the Great Reset probably will see about 15 to 20% lower emissions compared to previous year. But with all the recovery happening there, we have to grasp the opportunity to make sure the economic recovery will be green, low carbon. And what's encouraging is that if you look at China, EU, and more so actually in the US as well, governments are stepping up efforts to set a net zero carbon future by mid of century. Companies are stepping up efforts towards that direction as well. But what's happening in China now makes, again, actually, under restatement, climate change challenge is intensifying, and the actions taken today won't just generate the outcome tomorrow, but this is for the longer term. And the scientists are telling us we have to take action immediately, more aggressively, accelerating the solutions. Otherwise, the future is really it's going to becoming more risky.
And the clock keeps ticking. Just talk to us if from your standpoint, because I know you've been involved in this for a long time. How vital is it to make these moves, to make the change to a clean, green future?
It has to be the future. That's the only future we have. I don't think we're going to look at any other solutions there. Fossil fuel civilization is collapsing, and I don't think people looking into the future, particularly looking into the future of their children and their grandchildren, would like to follow that pathway. So global community, humanity is shifting towards a low carbon, net zero carbon future. The gap is the pace and the scaling, right? And so, climate change is already happening, and the global warming is happening, and extreme weather events are happening. We're going to go through such challenges on a more intensified basis there. But in the meantime, actually, we have to make sure we take immediate action in order to mitigate, the impacts in the future. And of course, as I said, in the meantime, we also need to learn how to adapt to the climate change and how to enhance our resilience so that we'll be able to minimize or manage actually the impact on a sort of bearable level. Otherwise, the losses will be even more, tremendous.
Before you go, one final question. You brought up COVID-19. One of the things that's frustrating for those of us covering it is that it seems like there's a disconnect. People aren't impacted immediately. A lot of people were asymptomatic. They don't really think it's a big deal, and then suddenly you start to see these numbers go up and up and up. How do we kind of convey the same message about climate change? Because it's not an immediate thing for a lot of people out there, and they don't recognize that it's kind of moving at a rapid pace, and we need to take these steps.
Interesting enough, where I stand, actually, climate change has never left us. It's been there, and we started to see more and more intensified natural disasters there. Like California's wildfires is getting more intensified, and the temperature getting hotter, and China and many other parts of the world are experiencing flooding, even once in 1,000 year sort of record there. So first point, actually, I don't think the two say, we're only living through the COVID while the climate change is not immediate. It is immediate. It's happening there. And it's even more so. Second point I want to make, actually, the two, interesting enough, is closely connected. It's about, human nature, right? And if you look at deep dive into the causes of COVID-19, and the scientific community are telling us basically why are we experiencing more and more pandemics? This is not just one. We're experiencing more and more so in the future. We're already living in it, right? And it's because of human encroachment of the nature, right? We're squeezing out the nature's space and getting closer to the nature so that we become the natural sort of bridge for the virus actually to get into change there. Actually is closely connected there. Public health is climate change at itself is also public health crisis there as well. So the two, honestly, even though media today people are probably more occupied by the COVID-19, but in reality the two are very closely connected, and we have to figure out actually how to address that. What's encouraging, I want to repeat, is that green recovery offers the biggest opportunity for humanity to shift dramatically. So we had to make sure we had to take into consideration how to address the carbon issue. That's why net zero carbon future is becoming more and more global consensus. And what's required is really immediate and aggressive actions.
Changhua Wu joining us from Beijing. Thanks so much.